Well, you know music, and you can count all the way up to two.
All the way up to 6 if I had to.
For like no real reason. I was stretching before, and I think I was stretching too hard. So now I implemented just cardio and getting everything flowing instead, and I haven't had an injury for like 2 months.
Did you do any previous stretches before? Like nothing, you would just go cold
No, I
into
would
it?
stretch like before every workout, but it would be maybe I was pulling too hard. Like if I would do like this, like I would really pull, and I don't think that was beneficial because I was doing some research and it said like think about it this way, like why would you put your muscle to its limits when it's cold as fuck? Like you're already pulling your muscle to its limit. Why would you do that?
Right.
Which makes perfect sense to me. And they said that a lot of sources said that just like light cardio to get your blood pumping to the muscles is ideal, and then
That's-
stretch after. Stretching after is really important.
I do 10 minutes on the stair stepper before.
That's smart.
And with
I hate cardio.
it gives time for like the pre-workout to kick in, so I get all the tingles.
You feel it still? Pre-workout?
Honestly, not as much. I think I am getting used to it, which kind of sucks. So I think weaning off for like a week or two would be
Cocaine.
good. I could just take Coke.
Coke, dude.
Although that really is like the only caffeine I get through. I haven't had an energy drink in 2 weeks.
Last week you got a Monster.
Did I have one? Yeah, I had one. So like last Friday night I
That's
had
still
one.
not a lot.
I haven't had any caffeine today. Throughout the week I haven't had any. Well, aside from like my pre-workout, that's the only caffeine I get. So I haven't bought any energy drinks. I'm not having any at work. So I haven't had a lot of caffeine consumption.
Do you feel it at work if you don't have it? I do.
I don't
I feel dead.
right now. When I was like in the booth and we weren't really, it was super slow and not doing much, I was like, oof, I could really go for like some caffeine right now. I think a part of me just likes, I think it's similar to the vape at this point, where the caffeine
Routine.
has an effect on me, but I'm more so like the action of drinking a fizzy beverage. I really
Yeah.
like an ice cold Monster.
It's like the sensory. part
Yeah,
of it. I'm totally with that.
I like the sensory of it.
I do weird things like I don't know, I just have like things that make no sense that I just do because they feel good to do, but they don't really give me a benefit. I don't think this like drinking a fizzy drink feels good.
It does.
Just like hitting your vape feels good. Just stuff like that makes no sense. Just feels good to do.
Make sure your mic is.
Fucker. Why is it always spun around?
Well, I
It's
turn
bullshit.
it. When I set it up, I have it. Oh, you're almost there. Turn it
Oh, I see.
counterclockwise. There you go. Keep going a little more. All right, you're golden.
Perfect. There we go. This dude spins on its own.
No, that
You
thing.
sabotage.
That thing is in there tight.
He
And
sabotaged.
you do something every time. You see those little rubber cables, stretchy cables that are going along the outside? Yeah, there's little hooks that they pin to. See 'em? You always undo those.
I
and
do not.
You do.
How?
And it drives me crazy.
How?
Like, there's a bottom one right there. I'm looking at it.
Where?
It's in the back.
Here?
Follow that one up to the point.
That's in there.
Down, down.
That's in there.
It's
That's
on
in there.
your right finger. Down, forward. No, other forward, backwards. Right there. Back, right there.
I didn't do that.
See, the cable, I connected them all before.
No chance.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no chance. I didn't touch it. How did I do that? Well, like this. That's impossible. You
I
stab-
think
you-
there's
this
just,
is-
that mic is
You
so
just wanted
big.
to attack me today.
No, that mic is just so big. It's not meant
Damn,
for
bro,
me.
your mic is so big.
Also, it's really satisfying to put those in place. I don't know why I like it so much.
No, I want to do it.
Yeah, just undo with you and then put them back. I really enjoy the feeling of doing that. It's just,
Wow.
it's really satisfying.
Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. We got to lock in here. We got to focus. What were we just talking about before I was
Caffeine.
sabotaged?
And
Oh, yeah.
you're stretching.
And like weird things that we do. I wonder what like other people do that like there's things I do that I don't even like think about. They're just subconscious and I don't even know I do them. Just because it's just like, oh, that's what I do. I wonder like weird things other people do.
There's probably a lot. and they don't even realize they do
Like
it.
maybe somebody like scratches their left lat or not left lat over here before they leave, or like maybe they like, I don't know, just weird things that people do.
I have a thing. When I cut my hair, I won't be able to do it anymore. But I have the back of my hair is really curly,
Oh, I love
so I'll
curling
always
my
like
hair.
get it, and I'll just do it.
Oh my!
When I get not even like
yes.
anxious, if I'm like
It's
just
just so
standing there, I'm just doing it. I'm like, why the fuck am I doing that?
I twirl my curls over here. Like I'll just do this. It just feels so good, dude. And then I'll do this and like pinch down. Oh, I love it. I don't know why it's so satisfying.
I like grabbing a curl and then like pressing it. I'm like,
Yes.
okay, like the full circle and then pressing it.
Dude, I'm so happy that somebody understands. Like, yeah, like just like taking a curl and squeezing it together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
feeling it like, oh yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, that's like a circle. It's interesting.
It's like the same feeling of like cleaning your ear with a Q-tip. It's just like, oh.
It does feel good, but isn't that really bad for your ears?
Yeah, but I still do it every day because I just like it.
It does. It feels fucking great.
Yeah,
It
it
shouldn't
does.
feel great, but it does.
I had something to say, man. I always do this. It was important.
Was it?
I think it was. Hold up a minute here. Yeah, it's gone. Oh, I was gonna ask you how you like the machine side of the things.
It's lonely. It's way
Well,
more lonely.
Yeah, but that's not real. Is that a bad thing for you, or is that something that you like? Because some people like it, some people don't.
I think it mildly is for me because
You're more introverted.
that isn't even like the issue. When I was in the booth by myself, it wasn't a problem because I would just put in an earbud and listen to podcasts all day or music. And I feel like I can't do that as much on the machine because I kind of have to like focus in a little more. On like a very small part of it. The rest of it's just click a button and wait, click a button and wait, click a button and wait. But if I forget like one little step, then I could crash the machine. I'm like, oh, that's a pain in the ass. I don't want to do that. So I don't have my podcast going usually. And I get in my head and I start thinking about things and I overanalyze them. I think it's bad for my overthinking. So I've been actively trying not to think about things like that.
Well, your machine is
A piece of shit.
yeah. There's no way around it. Like you have to overthink over there more than other machines because yours is unpredictable, which I
It
don't
is.
like.
It doesn't do what you want it to do.
Which is very confusing.
And also sanding sucks. I really don't like it.
Really?
No, because
But you gotta be careful doing that shit too.
so many times like I'll have my hand on it, the axle's spinning, and then the sandpaper will catch on the axle and rip it out of my hand. So my thumb, for a very brief second, will press onto the axle. And I'm like, I don't want to lose a hand. in
Wear
this thing.
gloves.
I do. I have gloves on.
Not that it's gonna stop you from losing your hand.
I always have gloves on when I'm fucking around with it because early on, there were these very little metal strings, very tiny.
Oh yeah.
And John was telling me, he's like, yeah, you can just grab those and just rip them off. So that made me feel uncomfortable. So I put on gloves and I grabbed it and my finger slid and the thing cut right through the glove
It's like
into my
butter.
finger. I was like, fuck, dude, that hurt. Like the sensation and the thought of a little piece of metal going like boop right into your thumb.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me quiver a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. So I got the heavy duty gloves. And I don't grab those. I don't grab any metal with my hands. I fucking hate doing
Remember
that.
when Keith yanked
Oh
up?
my God.
How do
dude.
you do that? I can't. I to this day think about that. Like I'm just like, why did he do that?
I see like Mitchell has those on his, and I'll get them too when you finish a certain cut. And I think like, dude, he really just grabbed that and pulled.
Like with no thought process behind it.
that had to have.
It
That
tore
cut
him up.
so deep.
Yeah. But yeah, the funniest part is Alex has cut himself more than Keith.
Yeah, he has.
He's really good at cutting himself. And he's wearing gloves.
He's
Like,
not even on a machine.
He's not on. He's wearing gloves. He's not on a machine. And he just so happens to cut himself on a daily basis. Poor guy.
Yeah, there's certain parts I like, certain parts I don't. It's pretty chill overall.
Well, once you get more comfortable on the machining in general, you almost get like a sense for what things are gonna do. You'll become more comfortable and be fine wearing your earbud. Like same with like when I'm on a machine. Like I'm sure yours is a little more complex, but like on like the machines I run, it takes me like a month of running them before I'm really comfortable. Just like not even thinking. So like I do not think at all when I'm doing my like anything on my machine. So it just takes a while.
I really think I thought the axle lathes were a lot more complex than they actually are.
Dude, they're not hard.
They're
Lathes are more simple. In my opinion, lathes are more simple than mills. I run both. You have 3 axes to worry about.
Quite literally, like,
It's so easy.
you don't even worry about the fucking axis.
Uh-huh.
All I have to do is you run like the face, and then it does a cut, and I don't have to input anything until
Really?
the very end. Then I put in an offset, and I might have to do another pass, and then that's it. You really only.
Or you got it made.
It's so.
You know what we have to do in
Easy.
the mills? We have to type in codes to like cause actions in the machines, like M60 codes, to move the pallets around, M6 codes to change. Like there's so many codes that we have to type in on a daily basis. It's so stupid. You have to remember like 80 tools. It's fucking dumb. And then you have to change like on the what is it? There's like really unique things for very specific machines in the milling that are really quirky. Like for example, on the cages, it gets stuck. The table gets stuck up when it goes to rotate. So you have to go into like custom maintenance settings, type in a maintenance code, set things down in a specific order, and if you get the order wrong, the entire tombstone inside the machine will tip over and destroy it. It's so stupid. Why are we doing that?
It's so crazy that.
You're one button away from
Right, these expensive machines are so finicky.
Yep, you're one button away from costing like $10,000 to $20,000 in damage if you really wanted to. Just fuck it up. Just don't put that hold on your axle and let it go and spin itself inside the machine. The whole machine's ruined.
Right. I mean, I've crashed it once so far.
That's not bad at all.
Just once. It wasn't super bad. I just I ripped out a tool.
It happens. Do you ever get shit like stuck in the bolt holes?
No, not yet.
That's common.
Yeah, because when you do the bolt holes, you have to rotate the axle and then put in the number that it tells you where it's rotated to. And one time I forgot to input it, and you probably know if it drills into the bolt hole, it'll fuck up. And I'm just lucky that it was set where it wasn't on that already. It was close, but it wasn't on it.
What I don't like about the axles, personally, like your machine, or those machines in general, is like you have to stop the program in the middle and continue. I don't like that. I like just letting a program run all the way through. You have like separate stuff inside
There's
of each
a lot
program,
of stops.
which I don't like that, because that's where you can fuck shit up. If you forget to reset or you forget to do shit like that, like that's where things go wrong. So you have to pay attention there.
Yeah, John just told me, like, at a certain point, put on the op stop, and just every time it stops, open it up, clean it out, kind of. Yeah, this is here, that's there, do your thing.
This is like, nobody knows what the fuck we're talking
I know.
about.
I mean, like, 2 months ago, I would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's not hard. Lathes are not hard at all. I don't understand, like, it's so boring. Like, the lathe department is so boring. Oh my God, I'd rather die than run a lathe. You literally, like, it's easier than that by far. You literally just take a small piece of metal, you stick it in there, you step on the pedal to close the chuck, and you just press your button. Yeah, that's it. Well, that's literally all you do. And you get like 2 gauges maybe if you're lucky on a lathe. You might have 2 gauges. Most have one or two. It's so stupid.
That's fucking easy.
I know, but it's so boring. Like it becomes like I hated being in the lathe department because it's so monotonous.
What's
like,
the cycle time? Like,
this is what the worst part is. So they're short, so you don't have time to like think and enjoy your day in your head. You know what I mean? Like you can't be on your phone. You can't really enjoy something outside of what you're doing. They're between like 30 seconds and 3 minutes typically.
oh, that sucks.
Yep. So I hated it. So my machine is like 13 minutes, 11 to 13 minutes, and I have 7 or 8 gauges to worry about. I have different things I have to do. Like it keeps me occupied, but I have time by myself to entertain myself, which I like. I love that machine. And it listens.
It does what you say?
Yeah.
That's nice.
I know, because I'm not
really
used to
nice.
that. And you don't have that luxury yet either.
Poor Russell was on that thing for like years.
Yeah. And he kept on like telling them, like bashing in their heads, like, something's fucking wrong. Well, hypothetically, it's not my fault. But they just wouldn't listen to him. Like, they were like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then they get mad at him for when he, like, ran things out of tolerance or something.
Yeah, like just earlier this week, I measured a journal, and we can have a plus or minus 5. That's the tolerance. And it was at like, I want to say it was at 4. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and get it down to 0 so that way the taper gets to where I need it. Maybe I don't even have to say anything. I put in my offset of, like, I think it did 3-ish, because I'm like, okay, give or take a little bit. It took off fucking 8 and knocked it was scrap at that point. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's so annoying. That happens sometimes on some of the smaller lathes because they've been crashed many times. I hate those. You know those robots? They do that because they've been crashed so hard that you'll type in an offset. Like, say you need to make like a 2 thou adjustment. You type in 2 thou. You might get, like, say you need a negative 2 thou. You might type in negative 2 thou and you'll get a positive 4 or positive 6. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
It's annoying because then you have to, like, do baby increments. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, I can cut it again, but it's probably going to get knocked out. And I don't know what it's going to do if I decide to cut it again. So I'm going to sand it. And then the sanding takes forever. And you have to check it and sand it more.
Yeah,
It takes so much longer.
Yeah, taking thousands off with sanding is a lot harder than it sounds. Like, it just takes forever. I just wish the machine. I wonder how, like, the new machine works. Like, if he inputs 2 thou, does it do 2 thou? Like, exactly.
I don't know, but it's fucked up right now. It's down.
Yeah, they're putting probes in it.
Russell's?
That's what they're doing. Samsung's there. They're testing. So what they're doing is they're testing probes on his machine, and if they like it, then they'll put probes in all the machines, which you will love. So
I don't know. I've heard if you crash a probe, it's like
if you crash a probe, you're fucked. However, if you're not an idiot, you won't crash a probe. Just don't crash a probe. I have probes in my machine. I've never crashed one. It's not hard. It's so easy not to crash a probe. I'm just saying, it's so easy. It's a promise. It's so easy. The only way you can crash a probe is starting the program where you shouldn't start the program. That's the only way you can crash a probe. Or literally just holding your X or Y axis to run it directly into your axle, or else you're not crashing your probe. But what probing? Are you familiar with, like, how that all works and everything?
Not really.
So, why I'm saying you're gonna love probes. Sometimes mystery people don't know how to do mystery things correctly. So, if they can figure it out right, what it'll do is it'll automatically, in every single axle, put everything exactly where it needs to be because it's being probed down to, like, the singular thousandth of an inch. So you won't have to worry about offsets or anything like that. It'll automatically find out where it's at.
So you don't have to, like, input offsets?
Potentially no, because the probe will automatically figure it out.
Aren't there probes when they run F axles?
I don't know.
I could have sworn.
They might, but the probes can only work on surfaces that they can hit 3 points on. So if you have a probe, it has to probe here. It'll do that. It'll run into it like that, run into it like that, and run into it like that. So if you have a surface that's curved, so you might not be able to get. Yeah, I wonder how that would work.
I know they had them at one point.
Yeah, they had them at one point, but I don't know how they work. They might work a little different on your machines. But if there's a machine that has 3 or 4 points, it can really zero in where it needs to be. So it might give you, like, I don't know how that'll work. I hope it works well. But yeah, if it does, then you'll love it. Because you don't have to worry.
I thought his machine was down because it's, when he's cutting, like, the center hole, it gets really loud.
Does it?
It doesn't sound like it's supposed to be doing that.
That's probably the spindle speed.
Well, he's like, they've had people come over.
Or there's something seriously wrong with it.
Yeah, like, Matt's been over there multiple times throughout the week and just been like, I don't know what it is. They replaced the tool holder, the bit, everything.
No.
It still just does it.
I wonder if they started at the baby steps, because turning if the spindle speed is too high, it'll cause a lot of racket. So I've had that happen to me. So if you turn it down, it will cool it off. But I'm sure they already tried that. But yeah, now the reason the machine's down technically is because they're doing probes. That's what he was saying. Testing them.
That's nice.
Yep. All right, outside of work, what's going on? Because nobody knows what we're talking. I'm
That's
sorry.
right, no one does. Unless, like, there's some guy on here who's been running machines for like 40 years. Like, these fucking idiots.
Yeah, that's
don't know
exactly what they'd
they're
be
talking
saying. Yep,
about.
100%. 100%. I barely know where I'm at when I work. Politics. I want to talk about politics. Not like bashing anybody.
Yeah, run it back.
Yeah. I've had a lot of I've noticed a lot of people like getting worked up about politics lately, like really, really worked up, like at work, online, just like out and about. Just like I've noticed a lot of people really amping up, and I think that's because we're getting closer to election year or election.
It's gonna be
time.
so bad this year.
Yeah, so it's
horrendous.
it's what is it, June, and it's ramping up already. Like people are getting more and more annoying to the point of where you can't even like bring up anything. Like I was telling somebody about Mr. Biden pooping himself. It looked like he pooped himself. You see that?
Yeah, he walks a little goofy.
No, this is a bad one. He's definitely doing something here. I'll show you.
I don't think I've ever seen more than like a 30-second clip of Biden. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, because he can't exist for more than 30 seconds, or else he does something stupid. He'll walk off into like oblivion. Or when they film like a promo video for him, for like the social media accounts. There's it's like a 20-second video and there's 80 cuts. No joke. There's like probably literally in a 15-second video, 10 to 15 cuts.
Doing a bunch of clipping.
Just a ton of clipping because he can't. I don't know what it is. Bro pooped himself, I swear.
Is that it? Oh, that's at the D-Day ceremony, I think.
Distinguished guests, please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
Why is he bending down?
Because he's pooping himself. And then the funniest part was right after. This was what Joe Biden escorted him off the stage, and Macron, the French leader, was like, "What the fuck is going on?" He wasn't supposed to leave. He's just like,
The dude's way too old to be in office.
what is going on,
way
man?
too old to be in office.
Yeah, I'm not like bashing like political parties here, but I'm bashing the person. Like, what in the hell is going on? Is he okay?
How old is he? And he's in his 80s?
80, 81.
You don't want someone like that running your country and making
have, like,
very important
sympathy.
decisions.
I feel bad for him. Like it's like this senior citizen just being embarrassed on a public display on a daily basis. And
Right,
like,
and
ugh.
people just
That's a
picking
world
on
leader.
him.
Yeah, that's the most powerful country in the world's leader right now. That's scary.
Looks like he's shitting himself in the D-Day ceremony.
Or like shaking invisible hands. I love when he does that. Have you seen those?
No.
Yeah, he shakes invisible hands. He turns around and does this to nobody. It's just
I liked his chocolate chip bit.
chocolate chip.
Yeah, back a few years ago. Something about ice cream. He was like, chocolate chip.
I didn't see that.
That was like, I don't know why that was a big deal. That was a huge deal.
Really?
Yeah, it was probably like 3 years. It was like right when he first got into office.
I mean, the only thing about ice cream I know about him was when that shooting happened and he was supposed to be given like a heartfelt like discussion. And he started talking about how
Ice
happy he
cream.
would be if he got some ice cream. What a goon, dude.
Could really go for some ice cream.
Meanwhile, all the people in the audience are like, oh my God. Yeah. But I don't know. There's just been like a lot of animosity, I feel like, amongst people that are political. Like, and that's most of the country.
There's only going to be more. Like
I know.
You were saying, you feel like it's ramping up. It's
Yeah,
just
but-
going to get worse.
What happened? Okay, I feel like the world, if Donald Trump wins, I feel like people freak the fuck out.
Yeah,
Like,
I
big
feel like
time.
they're going to lose their fucking minds.
Yes, like high key this time. Like the last time, I mean, remember like the lady screaming in the street?
I think there's a South Park episode. It's when it takes place during like the 2008 election, so it came out around that time, and the Republicans and the Democrats were all, in their camps and whatever, and Obama won, so all the Republicans went in like hidden caves and tents for like days, and then they came out and they're like, everything's still okay, and meanwhile the Democrats were like partying, and then everyone's like, okay, it's exactly the fucking same, like nothing changed.
Yeah, what do they think's gonna happen?
And I think that sums up how a new president comes in very well. Like, I mean, there are changes, don't get me wrong, like things,
But they're slow and subtle.
yeah, they're very slow and subtle, and you notice them over time, but right away, World War III isn't going to fucking break out. That's not going to happen.
No.
So these people need to chill the fuck out and just like get on with it and just live your life, man.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't know how this works. I've heard like, not like outright, but if say a war starts under a president's term, does the election get thrown out? Like if a world war starts, how does that work? Or there's say it happens during an election, you're like, what happens?
No. I think looking back to World War II, because FDR had 3 terms. He was, I think, the only president in history to have 3 terms. And he got those pretty much because of World War II. They didn't really want to change leaders during that time. So, like, FDR was here, knows what he's doing, keep him there.
That's interesting.
So, like, the election will still go on as normal. But chances are you probably wouldn't want to throw in a new guy who's never done it before in the midst of a war.
Yeah, I just I don't know how I feel about Biden or Trump being in charge of a war. Either of them. It's just not really.
You don't feel confident about 2 80-year-old men leading a war?
No.
Come on,
Call
dude.
me crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
No, I don't. I really don't. I don't know. But then again, like even the younger people in politics are just narcissistic, egotistical assholes.
The
90% of them.
Yeah, most of them, I would say. The issue is whether you're right or left, people are just so far in their own camps that they can't even attempt to have a conversation with someone with opposing viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
It's so counterintuitive. I see it all the time. Like, I don't know. I'll just be browsing comments on some Reddit thread that is probably politically motivated of some sort, and someone will post like, "Don't go over to our conservative," and then they'll like, "Yeah, we're gonna go over and bomb our conservative, see how sad they are about this, and vice versa."
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude! Like,
It's all spite.
if you rub dirt in someone else's wound, they're not gonna fucking like that. You're really just furthering the gap between yourself.
But isn't that the goal of America's division?
I don't think it's the goal of America.
I think it's the goal of our leaders.
Yeah, leaders and our enemies to divide us, and they're doing a fucking great job of it.
Oh, yeah.
An amazing job of it.
I mean, knocking it out of the park, dude.
I mean, maybe I didn't notice when I was younger how politically divided people actually are, but I see it now, and I especially have in the last 8 years when Trump first got elected to where we're at right now.
I truly think that it accelerated with Trump.
I 100% think
Like,
so,
I mean,
too.
like, to a next level. Like, I think that there was always an animosity, but it really took new heights when Trump won against Clinton. That's when you really saw people, like, freak out. Because Trump was so controversial.
Right, like this TV personality billionaire, like there's no way he's going to get elected president. Like our country, the people who didn't vote for him were probably thinking our country isn't that fucking stupid. And then when he does get elected, they're like, who are these fucking idiots, these dumbass pieces of shit with no brain cells, these dirt-eating fucks who voted this guy in.
And then we had the best economy we had in a long time.
And then they hate these people.
Yeah. I feel like there's four parties in two. You have like two sub-parties that like I feel like it should almost be called something else. You have your Republicans and you have your liberals. And then you have your extreme Republicans and your extreme liberals. And there's like there's different mindsets. Like you got your MAGA merchandise wearing like conservatives.
Right, the ones that get the media attention.
Yeah, and then you have like your multicolored transgender, like, I don't know, poisonous snake looking liberals that just like, and there's this racist like MAGA whatever, and then it's just like those are not most people, but they represent the parties, which I don't like. I think that people get, every time you think of liberal, you think of that, and every time you think of conservative, you think of that if you're on the other side. That's just not true. There's so many more level-headed, but there's more, I don't know, normal liberals and normal conservatives that kind of hide behind the scenes because the squeaky wheels get the grease.
Yeah, I agree. And the media further, I think I'm going to say this word wrong, exacerbates.
Masturbates.
Media further masturbates the situation. So all Republicans are seeing are crazy liberals, and all crazy liberals are seeing are crazy Republicans. So they think that that's what they're all like. They're all these absolutely bonkers people.
Yeah. But the news that's another, man, our system is so broken. It's like the news job is to keep your attention, so they'll use that to divide but they keep people watching. It's like the goal is no matter how controversial or what. It's just to keep you watching, and that divides people more.
What's crazy in general is that the news is politically biased.
Yes,
Isn't that crazy?
completely. Yes, every like massive organization is so biased, and they're all owned by the same fucking parent companies. I need people to understand this. Why do people not know this? They're all owned by BlackRock and its sub companies, so they're all one and the same. CNN and Fox News. Why do people not understand? Like, that's all one thing.
Because they're ignorant, and it's easier to just read a headline than to actually do research. Like,
Yeah.
Interesting thing I saw. I was just browsing on Instagram, and someone reposted something about Israel and Palestine. And the headline for this was, Israel has dropped more bombs on Palestine than World War II. And I was like, hold on just a second.
Let's say math ain't math.
I was like, yeah, this does not add up. So I went to the thing and I started reading. It said Israel has dropped more bombs on Palestine than Dresden, London, and Hamburg. So in those 8 months, Israel dropped more bombs than those bombing campaigns. They were just a small sliver of World War II. And so I was looking up all the bombing tons. And while, yes, like it said Israel dropped 70,000 tons of bombs since October 7th on Palestine. And I think Dresden was like 3,900 tons. London was 16,000 tons. Hamburg was like 1,600 tons. But the headline said World War II. So I looked up the tonnage of World War II, and the estimate is like 2.9 million tons of bombs. So people are seeing this headline, probably not bothering to go and dig a little bit deeper and thinking, wow, Israel has dropped more bombs than the 6 years World War II was going on, a world war, and they're probably just like
Spreading it. And
yeah,
talking.
that's
Dude, can you
exactly how I
believe
saw
it?
it. Someone
Yeah.
shared the post, and it didn't have that subtext underneath in the shared. It was just Israel drops more bombs on Palestine than World War II.
This is why I think that history is so misconstrued. Because, okay, imagine you had this going on, but no knowledge of, like, no research, like, no ability to research behind it. Like, somebody would tell you that. So, your neighbor would say that to you, and you'd be like, no way. And then you whisper it to your neighbor next door, and then they was like, that's how media and news spread.
It's
So,
just
like-
it's just like a big game of telephone, and everyone knows what happens at telephone.
Everything gets fucked up.
Right, once you reach the end, it's not even the same thing.
So, like, what? Man. I wish, okay, that's the other thing that, like, even the wars, like, every country teaches its own version of the war. All wars. World War II and World War One, I'll hit on because of the world wars. They all teach, like, different versions, and that always kind of pissed me off. Like, America's version is different than Germany's version, and Russia's, and all this shit is just completely different. I'm just like, what the fuck? Japan's version, like, they're all different.
Right, and
to
they
a
all
degree.
choose what they want to gloss over.
Yes.
Because
So, like, what did America, I want to know what we lied about, because this is the country that we live in.
everyone, like, I stand firm in that America and the Allies were the good guys in World War II. I think that's very evident. That's very obvious. Like, we had to put an end to German fascism and an end to the Japanese conquest of these Southeast Asian islands. I think that's true. But people think that Americans just stormed in and everyone greeted them, gave them bread. They marched over into Germany and sailed into the Pacific, and there were no war crimes. But there were. There were plenty of war crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't even bring up South Korea, because South Korea was a shitfest of war crimes committed by South Koreans, North Koreans, Chinese, Americans. It was a shit show, and you don't hear about those things. And America chooses to gloss over their war crimes, which I don't think is okay. I think those things definitely need to be brought up. I think Germany does a good job at teaching the World War, because they fully are like,
We fucked
yeah,
up.
we fucked up bad.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't good. Japan, on the other hand, needs to acknowledge that they were the aggressors. They had horrendous war crimes, and they don't really bring that up. So you're right. Every country teaches their shit different, and every country has done bad things in wars, and it needs to be brought up more.
I think one thing that I always wish that we were honest about was the mindset behind why our enemies did what they did. Like whether that was not even our enemies, but like all the way back to like fucking like Mao, like all these people. Like I want to know why they did what they did. Like Hitler, like we're told that it's just because he was a mindless, like whatever, blah blah blah. But why? Like there's the reasons. Like why? Okay, why did he do this? Why did they do that? Like I know that's a controversial topic, but like we're always taught that these, like Putin, for example, like why is he in Ukraine right now? Oh, because he's a monster, he's a psychopath, he's evil. Okay, but
Like why?
why? What's his reasoning? Explain why. Like, why is he doing this? And they're just like, well, you just cause. Why? Like, why did Hitler do this? Why? Like, well, because he was an evil psychopath. Like, sure, but like, there's reasoning for both of them, like to their advantages in doing what they did and how they did it. Like, they had a war strategy. Like everything was strategized. Like, why did they do it?
Right. You don't get from point A to point B
No.
without a reason.
And if you talk about that stuff, that's something that people will kind of like, they don't like that, which I get. But why would you want to have a biased opinion of something that's only a half truth? Like I want to know reasons why like people did what they did. Like when you're talking about Hitler, that's one of the most iconic, what do you call that? Infamous figures in our history. Like I'm curious. Same with Putin. I'm just curious. So that just pisses me off when you don't get taught.
I'll reiterate this. Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, a superb podcast, is if you're curious about the Japanese perspective, he covers it very well.
I never really looked into the Japanese perspective.
It is, Americans are taught
That's
that
your specialty.
it is. I've
Japanese.
listened through this entire podcast, this 5 or 6 episode podcast. Each episode is like 4 to 5 hours long. I've listened through it twice. It's just, I find it very fascinating. Americans think that Japan hated America. They had a treaty with Germany, so they wanted to drag America into the war by bombing Pearl Harbor. That's like typically how
That's what I would
Americans
think,
are
yeah.
taught.
That's what
And
I think.
that's not true at all.
No, I didn't know that.
Japan
See?
did not want a war with America. They knew they could not win a war with America, and they did not want to attack Pearl Harbor. There were so many other reasons that they did what they did. And the attack on Pearl Harbor was low-key unknown to the mainland Japan commanders at the time. Like the disconnect between Japanese commanders was huge. Like some would do one thing and the others would be like, what the fuck, why'd you do that?
Mm-hmm.
There was such a huge power struggle in Japan at the time where political leaders getting assassinated was just another day at the office. It was absolutely crazy what was going on over there. And I'm sure the same can be said with Germany. Like, I think this is a fairly common theory. I stand by it. But I think Germany wanted revenge because they absolutely got fucked in the Treaty of Versailles after World War I. Like, their money was fucking worthless. People were living in poverty. They were starving.
So
They
they're
needed
pissed.
work. Yeah, it's like, and then this guy comes along and kind of makes things better and has huge promises. Like, okay, you can choose this guy who says all these things, or you can continue to burn your thousands of francs and go hungry. So what are you going to do? I mean, the option's very clear.
And he was very good for the economy, like he did. Well, as a leader, I know we don't like saying this, but he was a good leader for his country until he destroyed it because he was an idiot.
Right.
But economically speaking.
And if France, or the Allies in general, if they weren't so harsh on Germany, I think this is could be a stretch, could be a huge stretch. But if the Allies were not so hard on Germany, then World War II may have been prevented, at least in Europe.
Which is, if you say that to people that are not open-minded, you're going to get shit on. Which is, I wish wasn't like that. Like, people are going to be like, what are you sympathizing with Hitler? Like, you're sympathizing with Germany. Like, no. I'm just having an open discussion on, like,
Right.
how things could have happened or why they happened. Or, like, I find it fascinating. Like, I never knew that. Not that, okay, I want to preface by saying it was completely wrong to kill Jewish people. That was completely innocent. But they were offered to America, and we refused to take them as refugees. Like, we were like, no, fuck you, you're keeping them. And they couldn't afford to keep these people. Like, they were costing Germany money. And not only paired with that was Hitler's hatred for Jewish people. So you had that, plus they're ruining the economy in his eyes. So they offered them to America and other countries, and they refused to take them.
Yeah, America didn't.
That's
give
what
a
I'm
fuck
saying.
about
Like
the
nobody
Jews.
knows that. Like
Um,
people.
America had a huge eugenics program in the
Yes.
30s. Henry Ford was huge for eugenics.
Why does nobody like? I hate when we play the innocent.
And they
So
always act like
stupid.
nobody knew the Holocaust was happening.
Yeah, they were completely aware.
They knew completely.
It was like, it's not our problem, until it was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just so frustrating. And like, but people don't typically know that. That's not like common knowledge amongst American citizens.
Yeah, you have to dig for that. You
It's
have to
very
actually do research.
Surface level. Like Hitler hated Jewish people because he was pissed off that his girlfriend was Jewish and she broke up with him. That's like the deepest that typical American knowledge goes.
I've heard he got rejected from art school by a Jew, so he hated Jewish
That's
people.
another one. It's just
That's a
it
very
makes no
common
sense. Like
one.
this is the biggest genocide in the last like God knows how long. Like this is very fascinating.
This is the first ever systematic extermination of a race. That
That's
was the first time
insane.
that's ever happened in human history.
I want to know like everything I can about that. That's so insane to me.
Right, that is
And it happened recently, comparatively speaking.
less than 100 years ago.
That's insane too. Like this is modern history, in my opinion. That's crazy. Like in 500 years, that'll be considered like modern history.
That is
Like,
crazy.
Wait, remember when Hitler did this? Like, fuck, like, yeah, that's insane.
And
I don't think about that.
I don't really think about that either.
Like, this was recent. This was like my grandpa was alive when Adolf Hitler was in full terror mode.
That is so fucking crazy to think about.
I know that blows my mind. And he's 80 years old, so 81.
He's 81. He would have.
82. He's 1940.
He would have been an infant.
But he was still alive.
Yeah, he was still there.
That's crazy to me. That's
Like if he would have asked his parents, they would have been like, "Oh yeah, that Hitler guy."
I asked him about that, and he was basically explained like yeah, it was a big deal, but people just kind of kept their head down and kept working. Like it wasn't like when World War II was happening, it was. I don't know how to explain it, but like people just kind of had to do what they had to do to support their families. Like wasn't consuming there every single day.
That's an interesting thing I don't think about too much either. I saw a couple videos in Ukraine, and that's what got me thinking about it. I saw videos of people in Kiev
Partying and chilling.
just doing their thing. Meanwhile, just a couple miles to the east, there's people dying in a huge war. And I'm wondering what like the sentiment was in America during the World Wars. And it's probably the same. They were just
They just
going
went to work and
coming home
that's
and
it.
having their usual days. Meanwhile, across the seas, people are getting fucking slaughtered, gassed, and mutilated.
Yeah, and they just came from World War I not far before that, so it's probably like, yeah, this is happening again. Like here we go. You know what I mean? Like World War I wasn't that far behind,
No,
which
it
is
was
that's crazy too. Like,
less than 20 years.
yeah, 2 world wars in 20 years, and then we haven't had one since. It's coming, man. Oh, you hear about? I don't know. This I should fact check this. So I don't believe this, but I heard that Russia or the United States wanted to put troops on France's border or Russia's border or something like that.
I haven't heard that, but I heard
Let me see.
France is bolstering pretty hard. I think maybe Sweden, Belgium. I get those countries confused because I'm a dumb American, but
Me too.
they're sending over more F-16s. Russia is threatening to attack the UK. It's getting pretty nutty. I think with the involvement of a lot of these foreign countries that aren't Russia and Ukraine, things are going to heat up quite a bit now that Western weapons are eligible to be used on Russian territory and have been already. I think things are going to get a lot spicier.
Yeah, I think that was not a true headline, but I see that NATO's making plans to surge U.S. troops into Russia. Or NATO's making surge U.S. troops into Europe if Russia invades. That's from Business Insider.
I personally don't. This is the complicated thing that I'm kind of running into. If Russia can't take Ukraine in 2 years,
I'm with you. I know what you're saying.
what are they going to their posturing is
Horrible.
it has no
It's
ground.
embarrassing now.
It holds no ground. I think the only threat they really have are nuclear weapons.
Yep. I've been thinking the same thing. Like, there's no chance that these people try to invade another country. And God forbid, a NATO country.
Right. Then
You're going to get smoked.
what is that, Article 5? That's what
automatic.
happens. And
But
everyone in NATO comes down on
It's
you.
up to, what is that? Where they all get together, the NATO summit. They have to agree, so it's not automatic.
I think they're itching for that to happen, though.
Oh yeah.
I think they're fucking foaming at the mouth.
Yeah.
They're waiting for it.
Yeah, we want to go in there and fuck them up. I think I think it helped that they're embarrassing themselves in Ukraine. Like now we're really like we see a weakened dog or something. Like, ooh, let's go kill that.
Right.
Fucker,
I think a
you
lot
know?
of Europe and the U.S. and these Western countries have been waiting since the foundation of the Soviet Union
To just
for
take
this
it out.
moment.
But 2 words, motherfucker: nuclear bombs. They fucking have nuclear bombs, you
Right.
dumbasses. They will 100. He will 100% use nuclear weapons if he feels like he's in self-destruct mode. I 100% believe that. He will not. He's so prideful and I don't know how to explain it. Like he's obsessed with his country to like a sick degree. That's why he's so obsessive about his leadership since he was a child. But he will not let that go without destroying something else. Like he's 100% going to use them. So then what?
Yeah, where do they go? Who are they getting sent out? Like, obviously,
I know where in America they're going.
probably D.C.
D.C., New York,
What sucks is we are
California.
not far. I was looking at a map.
Columbus.
There's a map of like possible nuclear strike zones in the U.S. Ravenna, Ohio is on there.
They have a nuclear.
Not nuclear.
What do
They
they
just
have?
have an armory up there.
Oh.
So Ravenna is.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I think Ravenna is like less than 20 miles.
Ravenna
from here.
is 20 to 25 minutes away from where I
Yeah,
live.
It's not far.
Yeah.
That was on the map. Like obviously DC.
Stay
and
out of
New York.
Ravenna, guys.
Yeah, don't go to Ravenna.
Yeah.
I don't want any of that.
It's not that important.
Obviously, like the UK, France, Germany,
Hmm.
Belgium, Switzerland. I don't know, man.
So if I'm America, I've always questioned this, and I'm sure the technology is there, or maybe there's just something I'm not thinking of. Why don't we have more advanced nuclear missile intercepting systems? I know we have them, but like, wouldn't you think that you would pour like every ounce of your money into that right now, or not?
Right,
every
or
ounce?
like a while ago, I think you should have. If you invent an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, wouldn't you think that other countries might do the same, and you need a way
to stop.
to defend against that?
Yeah.
But that seems like it's kind of gone on the back burner because,
Which is so
from
bizarre.
what I've heard, there really isn't a good system in place.
How?
There was
How can these things not track these gigantic?
they can track them,
But why
just
can't they
get rid of
intercept them?
I don't know. I was listening to a podcast. I don't know if it was Lex Friedman or Rogan, but they had this lady on who had been studying she's been studying like nuclear weaponry and stuff like that for quite a long time. She's very knowledgeable on it, and she was talking about these defense systems, and she said it takes like 6 minutes for an ICBM shot from Russia or South Korea to reach the U.S.
That's mind blowing too.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I
fucking
never knew
fast.
that. Holy crap! So by the time that okay, so how does it work? You know more about this than I do. If they launch a nuclear weapon, is that like broadcasts like immediately to America and everywhere else that like somebody's launched a code, like somebody's putting a code? How does that
America
work?
has satellites up that can track a nuclear launch in an instant.
You're the perfect person to ask about. I never knew that.
I learned this all from this podcast. What it does is the satellite picks up on the heat signature right away, and what happens from then is they have to determine whether or not this is an actual nuke launch,
Or like a
or something fucking up in the system. And then they inform the president. He has his nuclear football, and he needs to decide in a matter of minutes whether or not he has to retaliate.
What if he's like pooping?
I think
What if he's-
what she said was a Secret Service agent is always with the president with the nuclear football. Constantly. He's never away from it.
Maybe when he's sleeping,
Yep.
masturbating,
Oh, yeah.
fucking. Ooh.
All the time. So when that happens, he needs to decide in just a few minutes, like, this is a real threat. We need to launch our nuclear arsenal back. And that's the tricky part, because there was an incident, I think, in the 80s where Russian satellites detected what appeared to be a nuclear launch from the U.S. You know about the story?
And we got one
And
lucky
one
son.
guy on a
Yeah.
Russian sub said, I don't think that's actually what it looks like.
Yep.
and he saved the world from nuclear annihilation.
That's crazy, dude. I always forget about that. Like we were one person away. Who was that guy's name? Like he should get more credit.
He should get more credit.
He should be like an American
he
hero.
should be in the fucking history books in
Yeah.
every single history book.
That's the hardest thing of all time. Like what was your like claim to fame? Oh, I saved the world. Oh, really? No, like actually, like I saved the world.
Right, you could be Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. And they're like, oh yeah, I send rockets into
fuck
space. I'm
that.
a billionaire. I invent Tesla. And this guy's like,
You exist
bro,
because of
he's
me.
like, you're only alive because of me.
That's hard as fuck.
That is tough. That's a flex.
Yeah, that guy needs to be celebrated more. Because I wonder what caused him to hesitate. Like, why did he? Was it a gut instinct or was it?
I don't know. It probably some sort of gut instinct of like, why would they do it now? I mean, like, I don't
Yeah.
know the situation.
And imagine if it wasn't. Imagine if it was real. Like, then he would be
Yeah, then
like
he
the
fucks
shithead
up.
of the earth. Yeah. Like, who's the dumbest? Who fucked up the worst in history? Well, there was this Russian guy.
Would it be the Russian guy or the people who decided to launch the nukes?
Russian guy. Because he could have. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, technically they destroyed the universe, but he could have. He decided to be like, man, we'll just
It's just whatever. It's
let
just
it go. Yeah,
Just a couple blips on the
yeah,
screen.
it happens. That's fascinating. But yeah, you would think that we would have like we would put so much time and resources into intercepting intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs.
That is a
I hate
little bit
saying
of a
the whole
mouthful.
world. ICBMs, like you think that would be like our main priority, but it seems like it's not. But we have so much money missing from our budget, our military budget, that I'm sure they got to be pouring. I want to know what the fuck their secret projects are.
I do too.
What are you doing that we have no? Like, we definitely there's things they have that we'd shit ourselves, and I know it. But what are they?
Ross Coulthart says we've been in contact. Or he says Russia's actually reverse engineering NHI stuff in the Ural Mountains
So then why don't we go to their own mountains?
because they're in Russia,
Yeah, but
Siberia.
let's go on vacation.
We have our own. We have our own. Russia has their own. China has their own. They
That's
all
insane.
got their own stuff according to.
But why
us.
all at the same time in history? Why are they all reverse engineering now? It's just weird. To
I
me.
feel like they have been.
Have they had these crafts for like ever?
So, according to him, China uncovered some in archaeological digs, so they've been around for a long time. Like there's
I'm
been
talking like
crash
hundreds
sites.
of years.
Yeah.
Like, do you,
Who knows how long these things have been there?
like you think there'd be more in history books about it? Like if you were
There'd be nothing in the history books. They want to keep the shit under
yeah,
wraps.
you're right. They would. Like 1,000 years ago, imagine you're just like a farmer in China, and you stumble upon a UFO. Like that's crazy. Like what happened to it? Like,
That
what
is
did they do?
crazy. And I feel like the thought process of beings from outer space was not a thing. So if it's
Well, they
not
thought
like
they
the
were
military
angels.
would come in and like cordon off the whole area and make people shut the fuck up about it. I don't think that would happen.
No, there was
thousands of
no.
years ago.
There's none of that. So like, why wouldn't they have saved artifacts if like Egyptians saved? Like you know what I mean? Like we all saved like they saved vases and shit like that. Why wouldn't you save a giant spaceship?
Maybe they were buried so long ago, like now they're just being discovered. And I think with the introduction of nuclear weapons in 1945,
Something
the trend,
happened.
the uptick in
Yeah.
UFO sightings has gone up. So maybe they're like,
Hey,
okay,
guys.
like well, these fucking monkeys have powerful weapons.
If
We gotta
that's
go
true,
investigate.
then we are an ant farm. We're an experiment. Why would they protect us from harming ourselves unless we were some sort of resource to them or experiment?
Resource. That's a good one. You know
I
the
mean,
Anunnaki?
resource. Yes, the ones that come around like every so many thousand years.
Yeah, well, supposedly, according to the story of the Anunnaki, we were created to mine gold.
Hmm.
The human race was created to mine gold for the Anunnaki because their planet was dying.
Why didn't they just go to a planet that was made of gold? Because they exist. And just take like, I want that. Oh,
Maybe Earth was closer
man,
and a
that's
little more
totally
feasible.
yeah.
They knew they could take advantage of the stupid monkeys.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy that there's planets made of like diamonds and gold?
Yeah, that's nutty.
Like there's like a giant like 300,000 fucking mile long diamond in the sky.
I think
What?
one of I want to say Jupiter. Someone who knows astronomy can correct this. I want to say a moon on Jupiter has liquid. What the fuck is it?
Is it a metal?
It's a metal.
What type of metal?
I don't know.
Fancy metal?
It's a liquid metal.
Platinum, gold, mercury.
I don't know if it's a metal. It might be
beryllium.
like liquid nitrogen. Like instead of water, they have like liquid nitrogen. I don't know. It's something kooky, something crazy that to us is a death sentence.
But
And it's
there,
just
it's
liquid
like,
there,
yeah.
and they have oceans of it,
That's nuts.
and maybe things are living there.
That's also nuts. That's another thing, like biological life forms that exist in other conditions that we wouldn't even fathom. That's possible, in my opinion.
Because we only look for life based on what we know life to exist as.
Nitrogen based. That's crazy.
Carbon, water,
Carbon based.
air.
Yeah.
We look in the Goldilocks zone because, like, well, that's how we formed. So, I mean, that's a natural thing to do. If we want to find something similar to us, then why not look in those areas? But you got to expand a little bit. What if these things didn't evolve like us?
Mhm. There is, okay. If the universe is truly as big as we perceive it as, which I also question that as well, like if it's truly what we think it is, or if it's some sort of an illusion, it's a loose word, loose term. But if it is truly as big as our scientists say and perceive it to be, there is no way there's just no way that there's not an intelligent life out there, or life in general, like all over the place. There's just no way. I thought about this. Like I've been reforming my alien theories recently, and it just does not make any sense that there's not life out there. But then you have the Fermi paradox. It's like, where are they? You know what I mean? It's where are they? It has to be all over the place. If there's two or one, there's got to be 2,000 or 3,000 or 5 million or 10 million.
I feel like that's a small number
I'm just, yeah.
when you compare it to the size of the universe.
I'm just throwing a number out there. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
fuck, billions. Like, yeah, there has to be. There's no chance that we just decided to form and, this shit's complicated. Why do we exist? See, we're going to get back into existential territory here.
I don't think there's a reason. I really don't. I don't think
But it's so odd.
there's a rhyme or a reason as to why we do. I think
I do.
it was just the conditions and natural evolution over time.
They say like consciousness is a byproduct of evolution because being conscious gave us an advantage to survive, which is totally reasonable. But at the same time, we're still stupid monkeys, and we don't really have the ability to conceive and understand existence itself. We don't know anything.
We don't know shit.
To like a scary extent, and we're at that point where we're smart enough to question it and have like existential crisis about it, but we're not smart enough to figure it out, and that's stressful.
Do you think there is an answer though? Like,
I think there is, but
I think it's low key ignorant to assume that there's a rhyme or reason to any of this.
I don't know if there's so much a rhyme or reason, but there's a reason that it started. If we can go back to figure out the answer of how it started and why it started, then I think that's your answer. There was a beginning to this, like where and why and how, and what's outside of the beginning. That's the most.
That's where like my brain just goes
Shuts off. Oh yeah, like nope, I don't. You can't. It's like
The-
you're like in video games when you're walking like towards the edge of the map and you hit like a wall, and there's an invisible wall, you can't go past it.
Yep.
It's like that's what it feels like. Like I don't know how to understand what is on the other side of this.
And that's
invisible
really
wall.
weird.
It's
I
like,
can
yes,
understand
simulation, Anthony.
like 2 + 2 = 4.
Mhm.
That makes sense to me. But when you put the question of what was there before there was this, everything, it's like, huh? Like I can't
Nope.
fathom anything.
That's because we're a simulation put into a computer program, and we can't fathom outside of that program. Even though we know that there's something out there, our brains are just not in tune to understand or conceive that, comprehend it. Totally simulation. I'm just saying.
It bothers me. I want to know.
Bothers me too, but that's the answer. I think like if you could watch on video this happen, I feel like, or even with, I don't know, microscope, whatever the fuck you watch it on, that would be your answer. The Big Bang is the most plausible, but yet it makes no sense at the same time. Like you can explain it to me as much as you want. Like if you're a scientist, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Like you're telling me that something like came like 300,000 billion times smaller than this, became this, and became you and I. Something's fucky there. You're missing like a massive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. It is a little weird when you put it that way.
Something's fucky. There's something missing.
And then that begs the question of, well, how did those things get there?
And then how did those things get to those things that got to these things that got here?
Right, and it just seems like this endless staircase of going down into this rabbit hole that is never ending because no one fucking knows.
Then you can go into the multiverse theory, but then okay, what's outside the universe? Well, there's multiple universes. Okay,
Where'd
well,
they
what's
come
outside
from?
of them? Where do they come from? All right, well, what's outside of that? All right, well, what created that? Oh, God. Okay, well, what created God? Oh, he existed forever. Well, there was no forever out there because the universe laws didn't matter. So what's outside of that? Oh, well, there's no answer. There isn't one. You're right. Maybe there isn't one, but there is.
I know there.
But there is. We just can't conceive it.
Maybe we're just like you were saying. We just don't have the capability to ever comprehend that, or of how it started.
Purposely.
Like we can't
Our DNA is coded that way.
function.
Dude, it's a coding. It's a fucking coding. I know that sounds like so like voodoo, but it's fucking weird. Like we're like coded with like I don't know. Our DNA is literally programming. Technically, it's just fascinating to me. Like I was telling you, like how like spiders have programming, and then everything they do is based off of their DNA. Like it's already predetermined.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's insane to me. Like we're just that, but more complicated. But we're so complicated that we can't recognize it because there's too many options. Instead of having 5 options, there's 500 million. So to our brains, we can't understand or recognize that because there's so many different directions that we can take things. But yet there's still a limit. There's still a genetic limit to the options that we have, to the words we say, to the things we do, to the way we move, to everything. The people we love, the people we hate, our emotions. Like it's chemical and DNA. That's all it is.
I wonder if we could genetically create a person to comprehend more complex things than the current human can.
You'd have to, eventually you'd have to figure out what, but then there's like, I feel like there's a limit to human intelligence anyways. So if you put together the most intelligent person on like Earth that's ever existed, like, yeah, they're going to be far smarter, but there's still a human limit, which I don't think is enough. I don't think that what we have right now, if you isolated the smart genome, whatever that would be, the smart DNA, I don't think that you could put that into somebody and give them like the ability to answer everything because we're still humans. It'd be like making the smartest gorilla. Like, yeah, they'd be way smarter than the other gorillas, but
They're still
a gorilla. They're not humans. I don't know.
I don't think. I feel like there really is no answer, and while I can't comprehend that maybe that's why it's the most logical to me. It's like, well, I don't get it, so
I'm just gonna.
that's
My
what
brain's
makes
gonna
the
give
most
up.
sense. It really, my brain really does give up when like we dive into this kind of stuff because, like you said, we're programmed to see things as like having a beginning. Like this table started as a tree somewhere. It was a little seed, an acorn, and it grew up into a tree. It was cut, and now it's a fucking table. So
And at some point, trees didn't exist.
Right, and it's like. Then you're just diving further in, like, well, where'd that acorn come from? From a previous tree. Where would that tree come from? An acorn.
Yep.
Where'd the fucking acorn come? It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
The chig.
The chegg. I think that the egg came first and created the chicken. I think it was.
But who birthed the fucking egg?
I think it was a birth defect. The chicken was a birth defect.
Explain yourself.
Some sort of animal that lays eggs laid an egg, and this one was fucking weird.
What laid that animal?
Some sort of normal.
What laid the first egg?
Now we're.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Now we're getting okay.
the animal or the egg. Fuck. It sucks. Because it's such like a mind fuck. See, okay, so the only answer that I could possibly fathom to think of is that this is an illusion and it's all created by your conscious mind. And consciousness is the only answer. Consciousness is the only thing that actually exists.
Then where's the consciousness? Is it being held somewhere? Like what the fuck is it?
I have a gut feeling, not that I know anything about it, that consciousness is similar to like oxygen, where it's almost like in the air, but like you tune into it. Like it's, I don't know, like there's one consciousness, but everybody gets a little portion of it. That's my opinion. And then that is formed, like your experience is formed by your DNA and your environment. That's like you have like 3 ingredients. You have the consciousness being like radio signal to your brain. I don't know how to put that. You have that, you have your environment, and you have your predispositioning from your DNA. And that equals you.
So you're saying, like, let's say a new baby is born, right off rip, they're the same as every other baby. And the only thing that really makes them different is the DNA from their parents and their life experiences.
Yes.
But their consciousness is the same, but it's
It's a
molded.
blank slate.
It's molded by
It's molded.
the other 2 factors.
Yeah, you get 100 newborn babies, they're all the same. And then from the second they're born, they start to have different experiences. And obviously their DNAs, whether they're white, black, Asian, smart, stupid, ghetto, like that's where that all forms. But it's all a blank slate of consciousness, which is why I think it's one thing.
I like that. I kind of mess with that.
That's given me the most like satisfaction mentally.
Because, I mean, everyone kind of knows that a person's personality is created by their environment and their parents. So I like adding in that third factor of consciousness is this blank thing that everyone is given or everyone has. That
But
they
where
tune
is it?
into.
Where's that fucking
Who
consciousness at?
fucking knows?
We can't find it. It's not like there's nowhere in our brain where like, yeah, that's consciousness.
We can't scan for
No.
consciousness in the air.
And like people have spent so much time looking into that, and there's like, yeah, we have no fucking idea how this happens. Like, there's just no sense. That's why I think it's like almost broadcast to your brain. But from where? Is it just like, I don't know, like how you breathe in, like I was saying, like oxygen? It's just like part of it that
Yeah,
we can't
we could
measure?
even go as far as to say consciousness is like an element on the periodic table that we
Yeah.
haven't discovered.
There could totally be that. We have no answer for it. Like gravity. We don't know what the fuck gravity is. Nobody knows that. Like, anybody realize that? Like, we call gravity just because it's what we fucking call. We know how it works. Like, we don't know why it works. We have no idea what the fuck gravity is. No idea. No scientist has ever been able to explain gravity, but we just take it for granted. Like, yeah, this is what it is. Gravity is just a word we gave something we don't know what it is.
Hold on. I didn't know that.
No, look it up. Nobody knows what the fuck gravity is.
I'm curious. Wow, hold on. Hold on just a dang minute. Why do I even Google what is gravity?
I don't know how to Google that. Do people know what gravity is or something? I don't know.
Do we know what gravity is? I fucking Google. I got a bone to pick with Google. We'll get into this in a second.
All right.
Gravity is one of the universe's most mysterious forces, and while we know how it behaves, we don't know what it is fundamentally. However, we do know some things about gravity, including like Newton's laws and Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity, quantum mechanics, basic things. But
We still don't know what the fuck
like
it is.
yeah, we know it exists.
That's
we
it.
kind of know how it behaves.
We don't know why it
We don't
exists or
know.
how it
Don't know anything else about it.
And like that's something that people don't realize. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like when I learned that, I was like, what do you mean we don't know? it?
That's me. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah,
I was like, I thought we knew what this gravity shit was.
we're
It's-
so simple. Like we don't know anything about anything. It's so frustrating. And therein lies our issue. But how are we going to figure out these answers when we don't know the ingredients to get to the like we don't understand. Like we don't even know what things to type into the math equation to get the answer. So how are we going to get the answer? We don't have any of the.
yeah, we don't even know the question.
No, we don't know the question to answer. Like it's just,
We
we're
have
not
to-
asking the right
We have to
question.
invent the question,
Yes,
which
we
could be
can't.
the wrong question.
It's all fucked up. Something's weird, man. That's all I gotta say about it is like when I say fucky, what I mean by that is like something's wonky. Like something we're missing some like massive piece of like information here that's like should be in our face obvious, but we just can't fathom it. Like there's something that we're just not getting. That's what I mean by something's fucky here. Like there's something wrong. Like general relativity. Okay, general relativity and quantum mechanics. This is another mind blower. They both work very well separately. The issue is you can't combine them, which means that they're both wrong, but yet they both work in every scientific experiment they're put into, but they're wrong. But you have to unify them, and that would give you the understanding of the universe, but we can't do that. That blows my mind. Okay, how are these two things one and the same, yet they're both incorrect, yet they're both correct? Where are they wrong? Where are they right? How do you intertwine them? Oh, we can't? What do you mean we can't? Like, they don't work together, but they have to. What do you mean?
It feels like you have to.
Fuck.
It feels like they're both. If they were both puzzles, and you needed to combine those two puzzles, but obviously they're not gonna formed to make one cohesive image. You have to pick out certain pieces, and you have to figure out what those pieces are and connect some pieces from quantum mechanics to general relativity and make your quantum relativity puzzle.
Right.
But like,
That's a
we
cool
don't
word, quantum relativity.
quantum relativity. Boom, we did. It's done.
we
I
figured
just
it
solved
out,
it.
guys.
You have to create this puzzle, but nobody knows what fucking pieces to pick
My
apart.
the way I perceive it is similar to that, but I would almost say like you're looking at like 4 puzzle pieces, right? And they all fit perfectly together when you look at them. And then you put them together and they change. And it's like, oh wait, this doesn't fit. But then you take them apart and it's like they're perfect. They should fit perfectly together. And you put them together. Oh wait, they don't fit. That's how I visualize that. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like
No,
there's something
that's just like frustrating.
there's something fucky. That's what I mean by that. Like there's something we're missing here. It's just an equation that we can't figure out. We can't unify anything. But they both work. Quantum mechanics fucks me up.
I don't know shit about quantum mechanics. I'm
It's
interested in
fucking
this.
horrifying. I've told you about spooky action at a distance, quantum entanglement. That's like one of the most mind-blowing ones.
Yeah, I think you told me about a video. I neglected to watch it, and here
It's all
we are.
good. Basically, quantum entanglement disobeys. This is okay. So this is an example of where quantum mechanics defies the theory of relativity. That doesn't make any sense. So you have in general relativity, you have laws. The speed of light, for example, is a universal law that is in general relativity. If 2 particles in quantum mechanics have ever interacted with each other, and you took, okay, so you have particle A and particle B. Oh, hi, particle A, I'm particle B. Haha, nice to meet you. All right, let's go our separate ways. Particle A shoots to this end of the universe, and particle B shoots to this end of the universe. All the way on opposing ends. We're talking, God knows how many fucking hundreds of thousands of light years away they are, right? If particle A spins counterclockwise with no time hesitation at all, like there's no delay, particle B will spin clockwise. It'll do the opposite of what particle A is doing. How? They've experimented with this over and over again, and every single time they get the same answer. It's defying the speed of light. How? Nobody fucking knows.
It's like they're connected in some
With
way.
some invisible string or
Right.
something.
That's exactly what I thought of. Like this
fucking crazy.
long invisible string that has the ability to send a signal instantaneously.
But there's like not even, I don't know. There's just like no like instantaneous. Like it is like exactly the same time. It makes no sense. Like if this is doing this, this is already doing this. There's no like this and then this. It's like psh, psh,
It's like it's like it can read it before it
Yes.
does it and act as it does it.
yes, I hate it. Fucking bullshit.
So is that like applied to us? Like if
Potentially.
we're over here,
We're quantum particles, so yes.
there's another me somewhere
Mhm.
who is on a podcast. Instead of putting their right hand out, they're putting their left hand out.
Yes.
Instantaneously.
Instantaneously. Yeah, we're quantum particles, so yeah. Which disobeys this. So where did this fuck up? But then where did this fuck up? Like, we don't know. It's just pissing me off. Because how? We were told there's these laws. But as the older I get and the more things come out, it's like, okay, well, yeah, there's laws, but we can disobey them. Like, wait a minute, I thought this was a law. You couldn't. Well, you can't, but we can.
Then it's
there's
not
no law.
then it's not a law.
Okay, just change the mass of an object and you don't have the law anymore. You know what I mean? Like, that's not law then. So there's really no laws to the universe in a weird way. If you have a massless particle, it does not have to obey the laws of the universe, which I find crazy. And you can say we figured out how to turn us into massless particles, which is technically possible, potentially. We don't have to obey anything. We can walk through a wall. Nothing like matters. Like, it's just mind blowing.
Is it possible for something to be massless?
Yes. I don't know how, but yeah,
I'm
there's
just
massless
like
particles.
trying to comprehend how
Makes
like,
no sense.
a physical object can have no
That's-
mass because it's
Look at that. That totally fucking confuses me too. They call them
doesn't make
massless
any
particles.
sense to
Yeah.
me.
They're massless particles and they don't obey the laws of the universe. They pass through things like neutrinos. That's a quantum particle. Neutrinos are just, they fucking disobey things. You don't know what dark matter is. Yeah, I'm going to fucking get myself angry here because it's confusing. We don't know what dark matter is, but yet it makes up 99.9% of our universe. We call something dark matter. And it's like when you put a word to something, you envision something, right? Like when I say dark matter, what do you think?
Some sort of purple and black object that
I
low
do
key
fucking-
glitter and glows.
I think purple and black too.
Yeah,
That's what's so weird.
That's exactly what I think.
I picture like a fucking like a bunch of tiny little microscopic purple and black orbs.
Yeah.
But that's not it. Like we don't know what the fuck it is. We just call it dark matter, but it's what holds our universe together. Oh, but we don't know what that is? Excuse me. That's what holds
So
the
like
fabric.
technically, everything around us, since this is made of matter, it is surrounded by dark. It is being
Yep, being
held
held
in
together.
place by dark
100%.
matter.
Yep. Without dark matter, none of this exists.
Like this thing would low key melt without.
it would have
dark
never
matter. It would-
created. It would never been able to be created. The atoms wouldn't have been able to form together. It just wouldn't happen. Dark matter is equally as important as matter, literally. But yet we have no fucking idea. Not a clue in the world. Don't know what the fuck it is or how it works or where it's at or what it looks like or nothing. We just call it dark matter. This mysterious thing. Force. Fuck. What's the God particle? That's another mind-blowing one. I could go on and on. This stuff like pisses me off.
It
Like
does. It it interests me, but I think it pisses me off.
it
more.
it pisses me off more than it interests me because I wish, because when I talk about this, I realize like, oh, I'm gonna die and never know anything,
That bothers me a lot. That bothers me so much.
and that's gonna happen, 100%. Like our asses are already a third of our lives through, basically, just about
According to the
average, whatever.
average lifespan in the U.S., yeah, I think it's 76. I am over 1/3 of my life,
Which pisses me off as well.
and I don't know shit.
And our brains are now going to deteriorate after age 27. So you're not going to be as sharp as you are. So by the time you're that age, you're not mentally witty or sharp as you once were. So you're not going to comprehend and understand things at the point that you are right now, which also pisses me off.
It does piss me off.
Physically, age 30, your ass is going down. Like, fuck.
What's crazy is
It sucks.
humans have a long lifespan, but a short at the same time because your brain fully develops at 25.
25 frontal lobe.
So you have like 2 years of maximum potential of learning.
Which is crazy to me, yeah.
The 2 years.
And technically not really, because by 25, you really can't change your... Oh, that's like a kind of a myth. Your brain's neuroplastic, very neuroplastic up until 25, and then after that, it becomes very difficult. But that's something that I want to bring up, too. People think that like it's impossible to change your brain's pathways after 25, but that's not true. It just becomes a little less neuroplastic. Neuroplasticity is just the ability
It
to...
just takes a little more effort to do
Yeah,
it.
basically. So like instead of, I don't know, like if you wanted to pick up a skill, instead of taking 2 weeks, it'll take 3. It's not like basically something simple like that. But yeah. I mean, technically you're right though. You have like a prime of a like certain amount of time.
And it's so short.
Yeah, and then you're just... Yeah. And then on top of that, from 0 to 5 is when you become who you are like 90% of the way. Like that's when you're picking up everything. That's when you're forming who you are going to be when you're this age. From 0 to 5 years old. Those experiences like form the most of you.
That's crazy. That's nutty.
That's when the brain changes the most.
Like that 0 to 5 range, if you want to make your kid a good person, you better fucking
And it's out of our
buckle
control.
down.
That's why like they can teach a 2-year-old like Mozart on a piano because it's so, and like new languages are so much easier when you're younger because your brain is so much easier to pick up on. Like
It's interesting you brought that up. I was reading this thing the other day. It was this week actually. This guy had, I think, these 2 twin girls, and he was under like the belief of you can make anyone a prodigy. Like you're not born a prodigy, you are taught to be a prodigy. So what he did is he introduced chess to these girls at a very young age, and they became like amazing chess players, winning championships. I think some of the best in the world, and that's really all it takes. If you want someone to get, God, you could farm fucking NFL linebackers. You could farm them like chicken farms.
pretty much. That goes back to like the blank slate of consciousness in a way. Like you can form anything and anybody and anything truly, if you really wanted to.
Also, I was in this class at McKinley called sports psychology. I don't know why I took it.
That's a cool one.
It was fucking dumb. But
That sounds
we
cool.
watched this like documentary. There was this quarterback for the Raiders. I think I want to say in the 80s or 90s.
Staubach,
I don't know.
Roger Staubach.
Maybe.
He was a popular one.
But from like birth, his dad was going to make him a quarterback in the NFL. And that's what he did every day. He was training like from fucking birth. And the dude became a quarterback in the NFL. He was an amazing quarterback I think he was only in for a short time. Something happened. But that just further proves the point that you can mold a child into whatever the hell you want it to be from a young age.
I think that there is like a bit of a limit on that though, like physically. Like if that child is like, I don't know, like 5'2" and like 110 pounds, like then you can't, you're going to be at a disadvantage. But let's just say like an average like sport build, like yeah, you can turn them into anything. But like mentally, yeah. Oh, as long as they don't have like autism or something.
Yeah.
And that might help them actually. Like yeah, you can morph any genetically normal person into basically anything you want.
That's those unethical experiments that I really want to try. I don't want kids, but if I did and ethics weren't an issue.
Hey, honey, can I like morph the children into what I want?
Yeah, I don't know what I would make the kid do. Not something I like, because then I'd probably get jealous.
Yeah. Like teach him like guitar how to shred when he's like 6 years old.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, well, fuck off, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
I'm like, Dad, I'm better than you.
He'd be like,
Piss
"All right,
off."
fuck you.
Yeah.
And then then he'd become a terrible person because his
I'll
dad
make you
treated
a
him like shit.
bastard.
He'd be like, yeah, my dad fucking treated me like shit.
Yeah.
And then I'd be the bad guy, and oh, jeez.
Then you're screwed. I got.
What if you didn't? Okay, go on.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, what if you didn't introduce yourself as dad? What if you brought a kid into a situation and you always interacted with them like masked? They couldn't see your face, cloaked. Your voice was hidden, and you were just a presence in this child's life.
That'd be creepy.
I wonder how they would interact with like
They think it's like an imaginary
other people, or if they saw parents of one of their friends maybe at a later point in life. They're like, what are they? They're like, oh, that's your parents. Everyone has them. It's like, I don't have parents.
Or like if like the dad stood behind a wall, like the child would be like, yeah, the voice behind the wall tells me this.
Yeah,
and that.
that's crazy.
And they'd be like, what do you mean? Like it's just like the voice from behind the wall. What do you mean? What do I mean? You don't have a voice behind your wall? Like yeah, it's insane. Fucking mind blowing. Just don't let me forget like this topic, because when I pee, I tend to forget things.
Okay, we're talking about unethical child experiments, and
Or what experiments were we on?
I don't know, we were talking about.
Well, you had a breath. Where the fuck did you go? Run?
That was just the sit down.
It's just like me, dude.
Out of shape.
Yeah, I'm working on cardio wise.
What was the last talked about?
I don't know.
If you had a kid and
you
withheld parents from them.
Yeah. Well, like you didn't, but you did.
Yeah, you never showed them parents.
Mm-hmm.
They had no idea what the idea of a parent was.
Is the rest of this kid's life like fairly normal, or is it just like?
Yeah, I guess like at what age do you release them from this experiment and just let them go?
Release them sounds so.
Yeah, it's an experiment. They are.
Release the bastard.
I wonder what happened. Like you enroll them in school. They I guess that's part of the experiment. You see how they react to normal everyday life.
I feel like they
after
end
that.
up in an asylum within like a month.
They have to. They have to
Because-
think they're absolutely,
Yeah.
or they have to think everyone else is crazy.
Yep. And then they start to tell like people about the voice behind the wall.
Right? You're talking about the walls speaking to you, and everyone else is like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck are you on?"
Yep. So they end up like misdiagnosed as like insane. But are they technically insane at that point because they've never been exposed to human behavior like in the proper way?
I think
Can
at
they
some
get along?
point they would go insane because everyone is telling them, "No, that you're wrong. That didn't exist." I can imagine. I can see how that would make someone crazy. Like, if you drove up here and said, "Dude, a fucking UFO landed in front of me. Alien popped out, gave me some intergalactic Zaza,
Oh, bro, that would go crazy.
and he dipped." I'd be like, "What the fuck are you on?"
But what if I pulled out a bag of like light up Zaza? Like, you'd be like,
I'd say you bought it, and then you saw this, you had this experience, and everyone's telling you, "No, you didn't. You're crazy."
Yeah.
Then you believe me. You're like, "Hey, did I fucking have this?"
Well, you know how angry it makes like you or like anybody when you're telling the truth and somebody doesn't believe you.
Yeah, that's so frustrating.
Oh, and you're like, I fucking swear, and they're like, no, you're fucking lying. Oh, I hate that. Yeah, so it's along those lines of like how angry you get. Like imagine that multiplied by like 1,000. Like every day of your life is just like, no, you're lying.
Yeah, for 5 years of your existence,
Yeah,
We'll go on that 5 years because that's when you said like
the majority
the
of them
child is
are-
formed.
A child has
Speaking
been
of,
formed.
I'm speaking about kids like they are an experiment. Jesus.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's when the child is formed at those 5 years. And for 5 years of your life, you went through that every day. And people are telling you that didn't happen. You're crazy. The walls don't talk.
But you're a child, so like maybe you question, like, because you don't have the ability, like, oh, maybe they weren't talking. Like, eventually, maybe it's my brain doing this.
I think that's going to make you go even crazier.
what I'm
You don't know
saying.
what's fucking real and what isn't.
Like, I feel like if you were older, like if I don't know, like if you were 18 and you were released into the wild, you'd be like, no, like I know the walls were talking, like they were.
And that, let's say periodically, like every we're going to do every 3 years when they're sleeping,
Oh, that drive me down.
the wall talks.
That makes me like angry.
You show up and you speak to them. You're like, hey, how you doing? They don't see you. They hear you.
I feel like they become violent towards it. Like, you're not real, like, because they're told they're beating their head, like, it's not real, like, stop.
Yeah.
They start, schizophrenic people, like, start to, like, attack their demons or whatever. The voice, like, fuck the voices, they're evil, I know you're evil. You ever seen, like, a schizophrenic, like, episode?
I haven't seen one, but
They're
I've heard
crazy,
about them.
dude. Like, when they get angry at the voice or whatever they hear, they go nuts. You can watch it, like, on YouTube. They have, like
I wonder what they are hearing.
legitimate, like, me talking to you. Oh, hey, go kill your mom. Literally. She's evil. She's the demonic entity. And tonight she's going to stab you if you don't kill her. Just like that. Literally, that's what they hear.
That's so wild. That is,
But
just
it's so
crazy.
convincing to them. Like, that's why they have, like, issues. Like, that's not easy for them to, like, shut off. Or, like, they see things that are, in their mind, like, completely real. Yeah, like, yeah. Your dad's going to choke you tonight and kill your child. Like, for sure.
You should do something about that.
If you don't, you're going to die. Yeah, and that's when they go into their room with the butcher knife and they attack. Yeah.
Fucking
Yep.
Go crazy, literally.
Imagine having a schizophrenic child that thinks you're going to kill him.
Oh, God.
Oh, that'd be horrifying. you'd have to do more than lock your door. You can't live with them
Yeah, they'd have to be
in an asylum,
committed.
given medication. Yeah. I feel like bad for those people. Like, they didn't ask for any of that. When their life is just like garbage, like throw it away, basically.
Yeah, essentially it is. It's
Like, you can say like, no, dude, they're worth something. No. Like, yeah, they're like, you don't dislike them, but like, no, like their life is not
It's
going to
ruined.
be what it should be. Yeah. Same with like anybody, Down syndrome, like people like that. Like, I feel bad for them. Like, I sometimes when I watch like videos of people with like Down syndrome or disability like that, like mental especially, I try to envision what they would look and act like normal, and like you can almost see it, and it makes me sad.
I saw this video this week, actually, of this person who had autism. It was like high functioning autism. But they were just seemed like celebrating a birthday party at a restaurant. And I don't know who was filming it, but someone was filming it. And this person was having a very basic interaction. And they were filming it like it was this marvel. I'm like, it kind of didn't sit well with me. I was like,
People do that like crazy.
you're really just like using this person to, I don't know, get clout,
Yeah,
or
100%.
you're saying like, look, they can function like a normal human being. Look how amazing.
It's all over the place.
Like, I don't know. I feel like if I were in that position, that would kind of make me feel like shit. Like, dude,
But fortunately, they don't like have any ability to know that.
I think a lot of people with autism do.
Autism, yeah.
It depends
Yeah,
on
you're
where they're
right.
at with it, but I feel like no matter what type of autism you have, how severe it is, people are going to treat you differently.
I would want like train autism.
Oh, like love trains?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Imagine being excited, like, oh, imagine working at Seco with train autism.
Yeah, you'd be pretty cool.
Bro, you come in there, fuck yeah, everybody, let's fucking go. I'm doing a fuck today in the ass. Hey, Dave, hey, Tom.
I'd be like, dude, no, I can't. Give me like an hour. That's how I am with some people in the morning.
Yeah.
They talk to me right after rip. I'm like,
Yep.
give me like an hour.
Bro, the dude across, like, no, he's not that bad. But I've had people that I've worked with that, like, they're even like train, like on like a machine, and within 1 minute of being there, they're asking about like your life. I'm just like,
Yeah, I'm like,
I don't know where I'm at right now.
yeah, but dude, please, just a little bit.
I know sometimes I can wake up and like if I'm energetic, sometimes like in the morning I can talk people's ears off. So I gotta like remind myself, like, man, maybe people don't want to hear this right now. I like consciously think that.
Maybe I should dial it down. Just
I'll be in
a
like the
little bit.
middle of saying something to somebody, and that'll go through my mind, and I'm just like, so anyway, yeah, but yeah.
I have that happen too. I'll be saying something, and then I'll think like, they probably really don't give a shit, and they probably just want to walk away. So I'm gonna kill it while it's here.
I do that. I'll like shut it down like awkwardly, like out of nowhere, and then like I'll look back on it, I'm like, why did I do it that way? Like, that's weird. But whatever. If I'm nervous, like, I don't know. I kind of like whatever, but like some girls I get nervous around, like it's just all guys do it. Most guys. So like if they talk to me, I like panic in my head. And like I could have like a great conversation with them, but instead I panic and I like run away after saying like 2 words. Like, yeah, anyway, so I thought that was cool. And then I just like walk out. It was like,
Oh yeah, that was awesome. And just leave.
And then I leave and I'm on my way back to like wherever I'm going. I'm just like, why didn't I ask them this? Why didn't I say that? Like, why didn't I do this? Why did I do that? Like, I had the perfect opportunity here.
Why did I act like a fucking idiot?
This happened to me not super long ago. I had an opportunity with somebody that we know where we work.
Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And yeah, it was bad. It was like
you goobed it.
It was just me and her in the break room, and she initiated with me, and I did my thing. I was awkward. I didn't look at it. I like, okay, so like I'm gonna have to go off mic here. It's kind of fun. You're gonna like this. I walk in like with her, and I go to the vending machine, and she's like right behind me waiting for me to like move pretty much. She's like, is there anything good in there? Blah, blah, blah. And I go, never. That's what I say. She's over here. Instead of looking at her and saying it, I assert where I'm looking. Never, ever. And then I walked away. And then from that point.
Did you even buy anything?
No, I didn't buy. I just looked there. Never, ever. And I walked out of there. And I look back on things like that. I've done this in the past. It's not the first time. And I'm like, I am so cringy. Why did I do that?
I know. I hate looking back.
Yeah, secondhand.
Like, that was painful.
Yes, it's painful.
That one's pretty bad.
I know.
I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you that. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. Yeah.
I like the no acknowledging that she's even back there.
No,
Just
I didn't.
Like, nope, never.
I did not look. Didn't change nothing. I asserted where I was looking. I was like, just like nope.
Like,
I didn't even look at her on the way out. Like I had to walk past her, and I looked at the like the snacks over here instead of looking at her because I was already embarrassed.
I do that shit all the time. If I can kind of like if someone says something to me and I need to leave and I know I'm gonna encounter them in some other way, I hate that. I purposefully look in another direction.
And but like then when I walk past them, I think like that was probably obvious.
Right.
Like I should. Probably
it has to be.
Oh yeah. Like that makes me crazy.
If I see somebody I know in the gym,
I dread.
I'll like look down, look away.
Please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me.
I don't even have anything against any of these people. I just do that.
Because we're socially awkward at times and we don't want to embarrass ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Like I don't want to say something that embarrasses me and ruins like that person. Does that make sense? Like that person's going to now perceive me as this person because I'm awkward.
And then you're really just making the situation worse by ignoring and looking away. Because instead of them thinking like, oh, that was a goofy interaction, they think like, what the fuck is their problem?
Yeah, like, what did I do? They don't like me? Like, yeah, totally. And that's just, man, that's the human brain.
That's a double-edged sword. Being socially anxious.
Maybe we need to like consciously do things like the opposite of what we want to do. Like if you're walking by somebody, like look them in the eyes and like nod and be like, hey.
I sometimes do it on purpose.
Yeah, but then I wonder if it feels like.
And then I sometimes think that they didn't want me to acknowledge them. I'm like, maybe I should have just left them alone.
Yeah, I feel like more often than not, people want you to acknowledge them than not. If you know them, like if you're walking by them, like it's.
I think you're true. I think a lot of people would rather be acknowledged than not at all.
Yeah, and then ignored. Because who wants to be ignored? You know what I mean? Like imagine like you're saying something to me and I'm just like, you'd probably be happy because you don't have to deal with me. But in most terms, like you'd feel kind of like crap. You're like, oh, like, yeah, my mom's retarded.
Right.
What's wrong with me? But yeah, I don't know. Being socially awkward or anxious is very interesting because like you like get into conversations with yourself in your head and psych yourself out, which then causes you to be social. Like you say something stupid. Like that's when you mumble. That's when you fuck up.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I do that. Like I'll mumble if I'm nervous.
Do you play out scenarios in your head?
Oh
like,
yeah.
Really far
Oh.
into way past any.
Super in depth and out.
Yeah. Like if you're like, okay, well,
When they say this.
they say this, you say
Yeah.
this, and then it's like 20 minutes later, you're like, okay, I just played out this whole scenario in my head,
And nothing
that's
happened.
never going to happen.
Yeah. I do the same thing.
Like this basic interaction of hi turned into like,
What's your dog do for work?
right, like it's something crazy.
Yeah. And I think of like a clever thing to say. Like, oh, they're like when I say this is funny. This is good.
You preemptively kind
Yeah.
of back pocket some quips.
Yeah, and they never end up working because that never is how the conversation goes. And then I get mad about it. I'm like, oh, fuck, I had something good to say. And I didn't get to use it.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
That's especially, I like the podcast in a way because I can have those quips with like what I want to talk about and I can actually say them. Like if I want to talk about like something, I'm like, hey, I want to talk about this. That's satisfying.
Honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons I even like doing a podcast or this
It's healthy.
podcast. It's things that I wouldn't talk about with really anyone else. You can just, I feel like I can just bring up like anything here and we can
Yeah.
have a little back and forth on it.
Get out of your system.
Yeah, because naturally, anything we talked about tonight, I would not discuss with anyone else.
No, because you have to be in a very specific setting and scenario to get to that point. You can't just start out like, hey, like the universe. Like, when did that start?
Yeah, I'm not gonna walk into a room like my sister's over here with a newborn child and be like, so I was thinking about some
Child
absolutely
experiments.
wild, unethical child experiments.
It is. You have to be in a very specific setting, and I think that like intimate, like deep, like a podcast is like that space. Like you can talk about like things like that, where it's like, oh yeah, you can talk about whatever you want. That's the point.
We were.
It's liberating.
I went with Kyle and Devin today because Kyle wrecked his car. He's been on the car hunt.
Mhm.
We went to go look at a car today, and Devin was like, "What?" He's like, "What's your podcast even about?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Nothing." I'm like, "We just talk."
Yeah.
He's like, "What about?" I'm like, "Yeah, like whatever we want to talk about, we just talk about."
Yeah, which is like it's satisfying. Like although you don't have like a big audience or really much at all, but it's like it's healthy
I
to
just
talk.
enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I just get so much enjoyment out of doing it.
Well, it's like you're exercising your brain, like in a way.
It is. I feel like
It's good.
I've grown my vocabulary. Usually I could not fathom when I was like in high school or middle school or even a little bit after high school, being able to talk for, well, the longest one we had was like 3.5 hours. Being able to just talk for 3.5 hours is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's like I think that it's like almost like cardio for your mind. Like these long setting conversations I think are actually beneficial for socialization, like in general, because you're literally practicing talking for hours at a time.
Yeah, I think
So-
it's very good.
It's easier, and I swear to God, I've noticed like it's easier for me to talk about things with people in conversations that I don't know what to say.
Right? Because tonight you're talking about quantum mechanics, and we're talking about things that I don't know shit about, and can think of something on the fly, and like, okay, well, this makes sense. What about this? You can explore different things that you wouldn't usually explore, and like you said, you're training your mind to do that in other conversations. Where if you're talking to somebody about something that you know nothing about, you can dive into.
And morph it into an understanding
Yeah.
for them. Like you'll morph something like that I don't understand. And I'm like, oh, I get like that perspective now. But you had to think about how to put that, which is mental exercise.
I like exercising my brain.
Yeah, we
You know,
exercise
not
our
just-
others. Yeah,
Not just my physical body, but my brain.
yeah, it's a good way to do it. So yeah, people shit on podcasts
They
like
do.
crazy.
It's it was like 2020ish. Everyone was starting a podcast in 2020. Well, obviously because the pandemic.
They didn't have
and
anything
what
else
else
to
were you
do,
gonna
yeah.
do? I started my first podcast in 2020. I'm in that statistic. But it became a meme like, oh, what do you do? I started a podcast.
And then they're like, oh, I know what type of person you are.
Right.
I hate that.
I hate that too.
Yeah, it's like I think that people get the perception that it's like people that just I don't know are egotistical. They just want to talk about themselves. Like, I don't give a fuck about myself. I just want to talk.
Yeah, I
about
just-
things.
just
Everybody
wanna-
wants to
just wanna
talk
say
about things.
things.
Yeah, most people have things they want to say, but doing it in front of a camera is probably intimidating to them.
And a big ass microphone.
It's, yeah, when the first one we did, I was like, I thought I was gonna be totally cool. The 30 minutes, first 30 minutes, I was nervous as fuck. But then I was like, oh, this is normal. And now I don't even think about it.
Right. I always forget that's up there. I always notice my mic because I'm like, is it facing the right direction? Always that, but
My mic is always facing the right direction.
yeah, because you have to fix it the first 5 minutes.
No, it's always facing the right direction. He sabotages.
Whenever I
My
set it
mic
up,
is
it's
fine.
always like facing this way. I'm like, we're gonna do this, and then you move it.
No, I picture what you do. You do this. You're like,
How could I?
And then I'm gonna say something.
Ruin this.
Hey, your mic's fucked up, and I'm gonna feel good about myself. That's what I literally picture.
Mine's not fucked up.
Yeah, look at
Yours
that.
is fucked
Yours
up.
is. Mine's great. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's good to do
I enjoy doing it. I will. I will continue to do it.
until the day I die.
I really want to have like other people on.
Yeah, we gotta get some.
But-
who?
I was like, I quite literally fucking anybody. I don't care.
We need to see now. Okay, how do you feel about like this? Like, well, let's be honest here. What we talk about might push buttons in certain people in our lives. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
so when it comes to like, I can't think of the word here. Like, what the fuck am I talking about? Like when you, I can't think of this word. I'm an idiot. See, my brain's frying itself.
You haven't given me enough information
Okay,
to
here we go.
really.
I'm gonna give
go
it to you.
off
I'm gonna give it to
anything
you.
here.
Advertising. That's like when you post like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do that to people I know.
Listen.
You know what I
you're
mean?
All right. A little story time here. This plays into exactly what you were talking about. So, I was in a band for a long time, like 10, 12 years, something like that. I lost track. It was a long fucking time. And the band broke up. Not because of me or Alex, but because of the two other people who had an opposing opinion that I shared with them. Like, we all had the same opinion on it, but they didn't like that I had a friend that had an opposing opinion. And because I chose to not just abandon that friend, they said, we're going to disassociate from you because you associate with someone who thinks something different than what we do.
So like it ruins relationships.
So it totaled it. I know. I have
hate
not.
that.
I don't speak to them. The band is broken up. Nothing. So my fear, and it is exacerbated.
Hey, there's no T. Eggs, not
Eggs.
You say eggs taster. What did you say? Say it again.
Exacerbate.
Exaster. It's exaster.
Okay, exacerbated.
There you go.
Because when I told like my other friends about that, who both of them, all of them, I have been friends with for double digits, like a very long time. One of them said like, yeah, I can kind of see where they're coming from. And that high key put a fear in me because this is one of my closest friends. Like if I have a question or anything concerning, I go to them. I know I can count on them. They are very important to me. And to hear them say that they kind of agree
With them
with
like
the other
abandoning.
two. Yeah. They're like, he was like, yeah, I can kind of see where they're coming from. Like, I might do the same thing. I'm like,
Can I respectfully disagree with that? I don't think that's my opinion. I don't think that you should, unless it's something like vile.
but it isn't even the fact that it was over, it was abortion rights. It was Roe versus Wade. I'm pro-choice. The other band members were pro-choice. My friend was not pro-choice. I'm thinking like if I say something on here that he doesn't agree with, if those two are willing to cut off all contact with me based on my friend's opinion, imagine what he, who agreed with the two band members, would think if I said something that did not agree with him.
And that's the unfortunate
Me
truth.
personally.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
just reality.
so I was with him one day and he's like, what's the name of the podcast? And I was like, dude, I really
I don't tell
don't
people
want to
either.
tell you. I'm like, I like being your friend. I don't want to
Step on
lose
toes.
this friendship because realistically, you blow a gasket based on something I said. Like you've known me for 10, 12 years and you'd be willing to throw it away on something like that,
Mhm.
like it made me nervous. So I get what you're saying about like not broadcasting it like crazy, because
It's like a double-edged sword.
it is. It's a fear of mine. It's a genuine fear of mine. That's
Which
why I
is-
really don't tell
I
anybody.
don't either. It's totally justified. Like it's weird to like talk about, but like yeah, like that's just like the reality of human beings. I think right now is it's so frustrating. Why is somebody willing to throw away like years of friendship, and like they know who you are as a person? Like obviously they like you, or else they wouldn't be your friends.
Right.
So you say something on a podcast or a platform somewhere, or you share an opinion that they find out about that they don't agree with. Okay, get the fuck over it.
Right. It's
Like I'm sorry, that's how I feel. Like get the fuck over it.
And the thing is, I don't talk politics or any of this stuff with my friends.
I don't really either.
ever. So the fact that I would have that opinion is like, we don't even talk about it in the first place. Why would it be a concern at any point in the future?
I guarantee that any of those people have opposing opinions to yours. Are you willing to completely throw away that friendship?
Fuck no.
That's why it doesn't make sense to me. I don't. That's why I don't personally agree with throwing away friendship, because I have friends that you have personally. You have opinions that are different than mine,
Hell yeah.
I get
We've argued on here. We've argued
Yeah.
at work. I mean,
but that doesn't make me say like, man, this guy's a piece of shit, dude. I never want to talk to him again. I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, I'll give you my opinion, and I'll tell you in like a not arguing way, but like I'll disagree with you and you'll disagree with me, but I'm not angry. I'm just like, no, like this is how I don't believe that. Like I don't think that way. That's not true. That's how I feel. I don't start to attack like you retard, you suck, you motherfucker. Like piss on your dead grave. Like you don't
Yeah.
do that to me either. Like that's not how dynamics should work. That's like a fundamental problem with human beings sometimes.
one thing I hate about it is I think everyone has their own opinions for their own reasons. And I'm not in your shoes to understand why you have that opinion. So I can't, it's unfair for me to go at somebody and say, fuck you, you're wrong, just because you have that opinion. Like, you could have gone through something traumatic that made you think that way. And I did go through that traumatic things. For me
Yeah.
to...
So you don't have that perspective.
Yeah, for me to put that down and say, fuck you, you're wrong, is just, it's just being an asshole and totally lacking in any sort of perspective awareness.
I think also empathy. Like they're unable to empathize with somebody else's beliefs, and they don't care about those person's feelings. If they're able to just turn off of how do you shut off a friendship or a relationship? Let's just say a relationship, because that's a relationship. How do you? I'm not shitting on those two specifically.
Oh, that's
I said in general. How do you flip a switch after so many years like of friendship or whatever it was together, just because of something so small? Like if they're willing to do that, like if somebody's willing to do that, do you want them as your friends in the first place?
that's
That's a question that,
they've tried to rekindle, or at least one of them has, and I shut it down.
because it's sad because people don't change. Like I know that sounds crazy, but unless they put like genuine effort, like I mean like daily effort into changing who they are as a person, it's very difficult to change. So all that has to happen, since that seed has already been planted, is something along those lines that come up again, and the same thing will happen.
Right? It's like,
You share an
what
opinion,
little thing will tick you off this time?
and now you're walking on eggshells now with that person, and they're doing the same with you.
That's not healthy for anybody.
No, you need to be able to have a opposing dynamic.
I think it's so good to hash things out, and I think it's great to talk to people with opposing views from yours.
Yes.
It is so beneficial to both parties.
Yep. For your mental health and everything, I think it's important. Every aspect, regardless of what they believe, because you can offer your opposing opinion, and that's healthy as well. Like, okay, I'm ensuring that this is I'm enforcing my belief, or you're teaching me something I didn't know. I don't know.
And at the end of the day, it's like all it is an opinion. And realistically, 99% of everyone who has an opinion, like, I'll take Roe vs. Wade because, that's something that I don't want to say experience, but it has been a hot topic and ruined relationships for me. None of these people are going to go out and do anything about it. All they're going to do is shitpost from their mouth and hold this opinion. Like, they're not going to go make a change. They're not going to go fight for what they actually believe in.
You care enough to cut off a friendship, but you don't care enough to do something about the reason you cut it off.
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
That just furthers you from the fucking whole point of this. Like, okay, so
What are you doing about it?
you've cut the person off. Now, how is that going to help your cause? Because all you've done is made that person angry with you, and you've probably just cemented them in their opinion.
Now you perceive those people with those beliefs as that personality. Like, oh, you must be shithead if you're willing to cut me off like that. Like, wow, I don't want that in my life.
You've created an enemy. You've burned a bridge.
Yeah, that's not. See, we have so much to learn as people. Like, it's scary at the same time as it is like a beautiful thing. But I don't know if we get there. I feel like we're on like a path here. You got like you have apocalypse here, like human detonation, and you have like human trajectory moving forward here. And I can't tell if we're doing this, or this. I don't know which way we're going.
It
here.
kind of feels like we've regressed.
Yes,
Because
and recently
with all the political animosity,
we're focused on that and not the advancement of our species, like we were 40, 50, 60 years ago. Like even during the wars, like we were pushing forward, like advancement in technology in the moon race. That was in the 60s. That was an insane advancement in technology in a short period of time. That's what happens when people get together for a cause and there's momentum behind it.
And now people are concerned about just the dumbest, minute little things. Like, personally, I don't give a fuck if Trump paid off some people because he had an affair. I don't care.
Or if Biden shit himself.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Like, yeah, it's funny,
don't
but
care.
like, okay.
But that is such a huge divide amongst certain
Yeah.
people. Like they'll fight tooth and nail to defend that, and that's not. Oh, nice voice crack there, Anthony.
Nah. I think the same shit.
That's not okay. Not at all.
Yeah, but there's nothing we can do about it.
No.
We just got to sit back and observe and hope that it doesn't affect us on a daily basis, which it already kind of does,
I know.
which is annoying.
It is annoying. Fuck people.
Yeah, they suck. Like assholes.
Just return to monkey. No, return to fish. Fuck the fish who jumped out of the water.
Return to even caveman would be kind of cool.
I'd
Like
go-
imagine your sole purpose. You know your sole purpose every day. Like get up, have sex,
go eat some
eat some
food,
fucking food, and kill your enemy tribe.
and then do it all over again.
Yeah, and go ooh gabooga. Like, okay, sweet, sign me up. But yeah, we
And you can
Yeah.
2 hours in. That's a good time.
all the way up.
That's a good one.
Hell yeah, sick. To the two people that we broadcasted,
Yeah.
watch next week.
Don't share it.
All
You
the
know?
Yeah,
way up
don't
to
tell anybody, please. We're really scared. Yeah.
All right, we're done.